looking for.
Okay, right now, if you look up the word conundrum in the dictionary, you would find a picture. You would find pictures, two pictures next to each other. One of Jerry Jones and one of George Pickens, because I see both sides of this.
Yes.
Neek, if I'm George Pickens, I don't want to play on the franchise tag, and I'm not signing for less than CeeDee Lamb is getting or any of the other top receivers. At the same time, while I almost always advocate paying the player, in this particular case, with George Pickens' history and only one great season in the rearview mirror, if I'm the Cowboys, I think I'm very hesitant to give him that deal. So when you have that conundrum, Dominique, what do you do?
All that matters about George Pickens' history is last year he was quite obviously one of the best receivers in the league, an incredible impact for that offense. Like, that's the most important thing in football. We can pretend as if all those other things matter to teams a lot more than they do. The reason why they're not going to pay him is because they don't have to. And I think that's part of the issue is as wide receiver salaries continue to go up and take up more and more of the salary cap, it gets harder and harder to pay two wide receivers. So it suggests to me that maybe they don't want him there long term, which I could understand would be frustrating for a player like George Pickens, who finally gets with a top-tier quarterback and is incredible. It is clearly a number one receiver, so I'm sure he's going to get paid eventually, but it feels unlikely that he'll be with the Cowboys at any point soon.
Their best window to get a deal done was a year ago when they made the trade, and I've made lots of trades in my career contingent upon the player passing a physical and signing an extension. That's part of the rules. And I think the key number there was T. Higgins, who was at 28.75, the highest paid number two. Once you make the trade and he has a season like this, there's no way he would take anything less. In my opinion, now $40 million a year. Jackson Smith and Jigba's at 42. And once you do that, Greedy, you may solve a problem with George Pickens. You're going to create another one when CeeDee Lamb says, well, wait a second, I need to be the highest paid receiver on this team.
And then let me spin it to the other side of this thing. So now you're Pickens, Neek, and you don't get a long-term deal done before whatever the date is, July 15th or whatever it is. And now you can't do a long-term deal. And if you're going to play, you're going to play on the tag. Are you showing up for training camp? Are you playing in preseason games? Are you just showing up the week of the start of the season? This thing turns into a headache, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unnecessary to show up for anything. If they're not going to give you what you want or what you feel that you've earned, then you don't have to do any favors for them. I think some teams and some players, the situation is different because you have the full expectation that you're actually going to get a long-term deal done. The problem in this situation is the Cowboys don't seem to be positioning themselves to make a long-term deal with George Pickens. So I'm not sure why he would do them any favors. And as long as he goes out and has a healthy season, it doesn't have to be as incredible as last year. People are looking for an X, and he's shown that he can be that.
As long as he goes out and has a healthy season and plays the way he did last year, he'll be fine, whether it's with the Cowboys or somebody else. But you have to ask yourself, like, what do you have to do to make sure and have a healthy season? I mean, we watched Terry McLaurin sit out on a contract situation last year. He gets hurt early in the season.
Right.
Not the first guy that's happened to.
That always happens.
Right. So, I mean, the way you set it up is he doesn't want to play on the franchise tag. He doesn't want to play for any less than CeeDee Lamb is making. If those things are both true, then he's going to retire because he's not going to get what CeeDee Lamb is making, not from the Cowboys right now. And the franchise tag's probably his best bet. Look, I mean, we can't have this conversation without acknowledging, like Dominique wants to blow it off, that there are other issues at play here with George Pickens. They got him for a third-round pick for a reason.
But that's not why
they're not signing him. What?
I think it is, Nick. I think that part of the reason why you're
committing long-term money.
You don't think?
No. The reason why they're not signing him is because they just signed CeeDee Lamb to a contract that is exorbitant for that position at that spot. That's the reason why they're not signing him. If they don't have CeeDee Lamb, he shows up and has the year that he had last year, they're extending him for 4 or 5 years immediately. That's the reason. It's about constructing the roster. So I agree. If we lived in a perfect world, all those things would matter a lot more than they do. But they don't in the NFL. If you can ball, you're going to get paid.
There's another nuance here, which is Dallas is so desperate to fix their defense. They're sitting there with the 12th and 20th pick. And if the four of us were running the Cowboys and we were having this discussion, we'd say, like, okay, easy. Let's go just draft a receiver. Greeny, you know this draft is loaded with receivers. We'll take one at 12 or 20. But they are desperate for help at all three levels. Despite trade for Rashawn Gary, they still need another edge rusher. They need another linebacker. They need another corner. So to me, because of that, they're sort of boxed in terms of the draft. And the solution to me is really trying to fix it with George Pickens. at the negotiation table because I don't see the draft helping.
And just as a final thought, like Jerry Jones said the other day, like everyone knows the franchise tag exists, right? It's there. He didn't just make it up for this purpose. I don't like it, but it's there. I understand George Pickens isn't going to like it, but the rule exists. They're taking advantage of a rule that is in place.
And they didn't use use the exclusive franchise tag on him either, right? Which means somebody could come make an offer and give them first-round picks. No one's done that yet. If he was really a $40 million a year receiver, then we might have heard those kinds of rumblings.
This is not going to go well. Like you just have a feeling this is not. If there's one thing you just figure, I don't know exactly how. Somewhere.
There is one question hanging over Dallas right now, and it is bigger than wide receiver. Are the Cowboys managing the George Pickens situation strategically, or are they slowly backing themselves into a corner? That is the real debate. The transcript frames it as a conundrum, and the current facts around the team make that label hard to argue with. Pickens was tagged by Dallas with the non-exclusive franchise tender after a breakout 2025 campaign in which he posted 93 receptions, 1,429 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That tag is worth roughly $27.3 million for 2026 and gives the Cowboys until July 15th to reach a long-term agreement. Officially, both Jerry Jones and Brian Schottenheimer have signaled confidence. Jones said the Cowboys have long-term plans in mind for Pickens, and Schottenheimer said the team plans for GP to be there for a long time. But there is a major catch. Jones also said there have not been recent talks. That is why this story has real weight. Dallas is projecting calm, but it is doing so while the key business question remains unresolved. The football implications are substantial. Dallas owns 8 picks in the 2026 draft, including first-round selections at 12 and 20, and the organization has openly acknowledged that the defense still needs work. From the owners' meetings, Schottenheimer said the Cowboys have firepower going into the draft, are not done making moves, and recognize they still need to fill holes. In other words, this is not only about whether Pickens gets paid, it is about how much flexibility Dallas wants to preserve while trying to strengthen the rest of the roster. The optimistic angle for Cowboys fans is that there are meaningful signs this can still end well. Pickens has been working with Dak Prescott in the offseason, and both Jones and Schottenheimer emphasized that continued chemistry work as a positive. That matters because it suggests the relationship between player and team is not fractured, even if the contract remains unresolved. And if no outside team is willing to surrender 2 first-round picks to pry him away, then Dallas retains leverage as long as it can handle the calendar wisely. So the bottom line is this: the pressure is real, the stakes are real, and the roster-building tension is real. But the Cowboys still control a lot of this board. If they use that control correctly, extend Pickens on terms that make sense, and attack defense with those premium draft assets, the story can shift from off-season problem to off-season masterstroke. The Cowboys are still in position to turn a complicated situation into momentum in Dallas. Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe.